All right, well, I'm here with Steve Eastaugh, Norwich United manager, on the 25th of November 2021. So, Steve, we're halfway through the league season. Norwich United is sixth place in the Thurlow Nunn Premier. We've played 19 games, 9 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses. How do you reflect on the season so far?
Well, I think that's quite a big question because it seems like we've played so many games, including a decent FA Cup run this year as well. That it almost feels like that we've been past the end of year part. It almost feels like we're in March, to be honest, following the games. I think it's quite clear that we had a fantastic September in terms of running games. Our form of late is certainly dipped. Which I can put down probably to a number of different reasons, albeit that they would be excuses. I'd say that we're certainly in and around where I thought we might be. That said, I think the top two have been so prolific that Millwall have been on a decent run of late, and look like that they will be in touching distance. I think the distance between them and us is probably quite difficult for us to catch the top two spaces now. So I'd probably say that's more down to their excellent performances and results as opposed to anything that we've done wrong. I still think our performances of late have been okay, but we just haven't been getting the results that we want in terms of wins. So a little bit frustrating of late, but on the whole, I'm not displeased with the progress that we've made. Because we've been in a little bit of transition, which we wanted to transition a little bit more than we did in the summer, but sometimes you can't force these things if the players that you want aren't available. So we've certainly in the last 6 weeks transitioned a few players out of the club, and we're now in the process of looking to bring one or two in, and we've been successful in doing one of those this week.
Excellent, yeah. I mean, since the season started, there have been comings and goings, and in terms of playing staff, Charlie Clark and Jack Hurrell left earlier in the season, and more recently, Sam Applegate has joined Norwich CBS, and Sean Wones retired from playing. Wones and Applegate had played well over 100 games for the club, seemed influential in the dressing room. I mean, how has the group reacted to these departures? And as you've touched on, are there going to be players coming in to sort of fill those shoes?
Yeah, I think with Sean was always one that we were trying to transition into a bit of a coaching role. To be honest, how he reported in pre-season and some of the early performance in the season, he was outstanding, so it was almost he was in the team. We then ended up in a situation where we were had a few injuries and a few suspensions, and we were having to play him quite a lot, which was never really planned for Sean. And I think he just burnt out a little bit. He's got to that age where retirement probably in pre-season was something that was considered, and he thought maybe one more year. And then after the sort of the first 4 months and the schedule that we had, along with family life and work, I just felt actually now might be the time to hang up the boots, which wasn't something that I debated with him, because the level of service that he'd given not only to Norwich United but to the local football in general, I felt that was clearly the right thing for him to do. He will return to the club in some sort of coaching capacity at some point, but I think at the moment a break was the right thing for him and his family. Sam's slightly different. Obviously, Sam's not the same age as Sean, but Sam's one of those boys that's always had to work really hard on these, getting himself fit and getting himself match ready in terms of in shape. And he just felt he was at a point, again, with the commitments that are going on in his life, that he couldn't commit to the volume of things that he needed to do to get into our side. And he was very open and honest about that, and he came to me to have that conversation. He just felt stepping down a level would be easier for him, and that would be an easy transition for him to have that level of football as opposed to the demands of our league.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So in terms of so far, you've brought in Tom Hunter to the squad a couple of months ago. He seems to have settled in pretty well. And also recently you've given first team debuts to Ryan Forbes, Georgie Batch and Jordan Buttle. What do these players offer the squad, and are you pleased with their development so far?
Yeah, so Tom was one that we looked at very early on. Um, we saw him playing against Martham, liked his athleticism, liked the fact that he could play in a number of different positions. Obviously, being left-footed, we were looking for a left back as well at the time. So he's come in and offers us lots of different options, and he's certainly one that we want to develop and work with, and I think he'll get better and better the more he trains and plays with us. So I'm really pleased with that one. We brought in Harry Pitcher this week. We haven't formally announced yet. He was previously with Norwich City and was released there. And then he went to Eastaugh Town pre-season, got an injury, and wasn't offered anything by them. So he's come in. He came in last week with us. We've helped him with his rehab, and we're hopeful that he'll be able to play in the under-21s this Saturday, with a view of being available for selection in the first team the week after. He can play anywhere down that sort of right-hand side in an attacking role, or he can play in the number 10. So again, he's versatile, technically very, very good. So we're pleased to have him in, and again, he's one that we're looking to work with and develop and help him kick on and kickstart his career again. In terms of the young boys that you mentioned, obviously Ryan we know well, his brother of Jordan, and it was nice to give him his debut recently, along with Georgie Batch, who I know David and his dad very, very well, and from our time together as Roxham, Sudbury and St Neots, so know the family well. Georgie's had a great education and an upbringing through Ipswich Town, and as part of the DESA programme at Durham, but wanted to come play senior football with us, so we're pleased to integrate both of those. I certainly see them playing more for the first team, whether that will be in the coming weeks. We know some get one or two back from injury, but definitely have both got good futures in football, and I would probably say both will have aspirations to play at a higher level than what we currently do with our first team. So hopefully they'll progress that journey with us, and at some point they may even outgrow us. But we've got sort of a good nucleus of young boys in our under-18s and developing in our 21s. And although some of the results of our 21s look poor, which they are as a set of results, we're more focused on developing individuals, and we've had plenty come through that system this year as well, which is good. We're pleased with their progress.
Great stuff. And so Harry Pitcher likely to sign this week, you hope?
Yeah, we're now in the process of it, so we've verbally agreed everything. We're just now in the process of completing all that paperwork.
As I say, we're sort of at a halfway point in the season now. Are there any players' performances which have pleasantly surprised you, or is there anybody who's exceeded your expectations so far?
Yeah, well, I think certainly Albie Matthews, considering he came in pre-season on a 2-week trial, and is pretty much, apart from one, I think, through injury and another through unavailability of a holiday, he hasn't missed a game. I think he's done it ever so well in terms of his progression in what he brings aside. He may not have scored the volume of goals that he would have wanted, but he certainly brings a lot of attributes to the side in terms of helping us keep the ball in those areas and being able to play off and with him. And he's developing all the time, so I would say he's particularly pleasing. As well as that, I think the young boys that we've developed into the squad, and sometimes that is through a little bit of other people's misfortune with injury. But the other one I think that I've been most pleased with in terms of his development, really considering he's his first year under 18, would be Eddie Blythe. I just think the way he trains, his character, the fact that he's come in and we've thrown him into some really difficult situations at times this year against good players, established clubs, and he just always gives you absolutely everything that he's got, and a very honest lad. And he's another one who I can certainly see playing points and seeing games for Norwich United Football Club.
Great stuff. There's also been some changes to the backroom staff. Casey Walker has now been made Youth Development Officer, and Jed Brister has been brought in as a resource manager. What do they bring to the setup?
Well, first of all, Katie was involved from the summer and was brought in under the under-21 remit. Casey for me is just one of them individuals that you can just have a good conversation with and knows football and understands the local football scene really, really well. And he's got a passion for developing young footballers, and for us, the role that we've now migrated him into is going to be a key one, because he now oversees development of our players that are coming through that under-18 pathway into the first team via 21s, which is a real delicate thing to manage, because they're going from playing junior football where, okay, results aren't measured in the same way as they are for senior first team football. So they're having to deal with that and cope with that and understand what that brings in terms of pressures. And also, you will have players that will come in, do really well, and then they'll hit a little bit of a brick wall for a period of time for a number of different reasons. So we put him in that position to really help players individually. Yes, he'll get involved with teams at all levels, and he's been on the bench for the first team as well. And I think that's really important that he has access to the whole structure. But he's there to really monitor and develop individual players. So he will give them time and be a soundboard for those as individuals. He'll also look at recruitment, and some of that will be looking at recruitment from 16 all the way up to 21, 22, 23. And he's got a real good grasp of what's out there, who we should be monitoring, making sure that we don't put blockers in the way of young boys that are coming through, and we can keep those progressing. And with him and with Toby, we're really pleased that we've now got that structure beyond just a first team management setup that helps us produce young talent, because I think that's going to be key for the club progressing in the future. Jed has just been first class. There's not really any other words for that. He's came in and just got involved with everything. We're talking about pitch maintenance. We're talking about development of facilities. We've been talking about how we can improve the match day experience for the players. Just making sure things are ready, prepared. Whether that be ball, washing kit, and nothing has been too much trouble for him. Always very proactive in looking forward to the future, and has been an excellent addition. I mean, I actually said to Toby the other day, what did we do before Jed? what happened before Jed? And of course, some of that will be things that we just muddled through and done, and then other things we didn't do. So it just shows that we've been able to move things forward. We've been fortunate in that we've been able to secure a grant for the pitch to get a full irrigation system with pop-up sprinklers. So we'll also be putting a pitch development plan against that as well, so that we can start to improve the surface at Plantation Park as well. And Jed will be instrumental with that, along with others, to drive that forward and carry out part of that plan. So yeah, in terms of additions to the club, really, really important, both of them, because they just help us perform at a higher level and will keep us moving forward.
Yeah, that's excellent, and excellent news about the grant for the pitch. That should make a big difference.
Yeah, it will, and it's overdue. And in fairness to the chairman, that's been in the pipeline for a while, and we've had to jump through all the necessary hoops and do the correct due diligence and paperwork. And the chairman has always said that I'm not going to invest in the surface until we can get the right amount of water on it when we need to in the spring, summer months, because you can't grow grass without water. So it's quite simple as that. So now that we've got that, he's committed to improving the soil and the level of feed and everything that goes with that. I'm no pitch expert in detail, but from a player's point of view, we'd certainly be keen to have a better surface to play on.
Great. Okay. And on the sort of coaching technical staff point of view, are you looking to bring anybody else into that environment? New coaches or anything? Obviously, Sean Wones was involved in the coaching. Are you
Yeah,
looking for new staff?
we are. We are. In honest answer to your question, we always are. If we feel that we can bring the right person in that would add value and and we can give a proper role that will have an impact to any peer at the football club, then we look to do that. It has to be the right person, and that's the key thing for us. It's not about bums on seats. We want the right people, and sometimes if you get the right people, they'll help shape the right role. Casey's a great example of that. That the right person can develop something that we haven't got. So you've not always got a vacancy open as such, but we're definitely looking for another coach. Toby has conversations on a regular basis with a number of different people. That sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no, and sometimes it's a not at the moment. So we're always monitoring those things, and of course, budgetary factors come into play, and we have to cut our cloth accordingly. But if we feel that people can add value, then we're always looking to bring them in, and that's for any department, not just the coaching. But, we're trying to be proactive with what we're doing with match analysis, same as we do with our physio department, who've been outstanding again this season. But we want to make sure that that's sustainable, so we're already looking at what first years now that the UEA have in terms of their students, so that we can keep that cycle going and bring another group through with the 18s and the 21s, because that keeps that department professionalised, and then keeps that well resourced. So that's part of why Toby's role was so important, because he's got the time and the expertise to give those areas that are needed. And as I said, recruitment, both in terms of playing staff and coaching staff, are always two of the most important things on the list, and to make sure that when opportunities present themselves, we're able to analyse them and see if we can do them and if they're the right thing for the football club.
Great stuff. Norwich United went further in the FA Cup than ever before this season, reaching the third qualifying round and very nearly earned a replay, playing away at Stamford. While unfortunately we were also knocked out of the Vase at the first hurdle at home to New Salamis. I guess if you were looking at those competitions, mixed feelings really.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, we certainly weren't obviously expecting the run that we had in the FA Cup based on what we've done in previous years. So that was always nice, and of course there's the financial reward that goes with that, even in the early stages, which is nice for the chairman, and obviously takes a little bit of pressure off there in terms of what we can then do as a budget. And it was nice for everybody involved, and then include all the backroom staff and all the supporters and everyone who came to Stamford with us. And I thought we gave a really good account of ourselves. Certainly they were a very, very good side, and particularly first half put us under a lot of pressure. And I think being honest, we rode our luck in that first half, but we grew into the game. And second half, I thought we were really competitive, and to take it to the 95th minute and to get beaten 2-1 on a penalty, I think everyone, although disappointed, was said, well, we can live with that, because we know that we've done our best and we've given a good account of the football club. Would have been nice, of course, to get them back on a Tuesday night and have that replay, but certainly for the younger boys who had their first experience of the FA Cup, I think that would have whet the appetite. Part of the disappointment, of course, to be going up home. We expected, to go through, but we expected to be more competitive than we were on the day. And in fairness to them, I thought they came and had a game plan, and once they got the early goal, they were very intelligent in how they saw the game out. From a player's point of view, that's frustrating, but sometimes from a manager's perspective, you have to give credit and to the opposition and recognise when they've done a bit of a number on you. That's obviously the day. So you move on. The Vase is always a competition that you want to do well in, because we
Absolutely. So looking ahead, there are potentially two further cup competitions. The Thurlow Nunn haven't yet announced if the League Cup's going ahead, I don't think. But we have been drawn, or Norwich United have been drawn to play local rivals Wroxham away for the second consecutive season in the Norfolk Senior Cup to be played on Tuesday, the 7th of December. How do you feel about that draw?
I mean, that's the hardest draw you could draw, and I say that with no disrespect to Galston, who have also comfortably beaten us this season. I feel Wroxham are the best side in our league, and therefore I think they're the best side in our competition. So I guess you can hope for easy buys maybe to get a couple of rounds in, but also you can look at it and go, well, if we're serious about winning the competition, we're probably going to have to beat both of their sides in it at some point. So why not be a first round? And I felt last year the circumstances were obviously different, and coming back from a lockdown, and I felt like that they were far fitter and sharper than us, and more competitive, and comfortably beat us last year. Again, this year in the league, we're making them draw pace, but we weren't at our best. And compete, but I know we can. So I don't feel that in the last two seasons we've actually really been competitive against them, and that's our challenge, and we've got to take responsibility for that. And we'll be playing them twice next month. So we need to make sure that first and foremost we make sure that they're in a game, and that will be what the messaging that we get to our players. And if we're in the game and we can be competitive, then there's absolutely no reason why we'll become aggressive in the competition. But we're not stupid. We know it's going to be a tough one for us.
So on Saturday, your side face Woodbridge away, which is going to be the first of a run of 6 consecutive away matches going through the rest of the year. Are you well prepared for that run? Is there anything different you do ahead of a run of 6 away games like that? And do you have a full squad available going into the weekend?
Touch wood, I think we're nearly there squad-wise. I think Harry Barker might need another week just on the injury he picked up at Bradford. But Matt Daniels has come back. He had 3 minutes in the 21s last week, so he's available for selection. Aldi Matthews I think will shake off a hamstring niggle that he's had. We won't have Dylan Alexander or Andy Eastaugh this Saturday, both due to personal reasons. But in terms of fitness-wise, everybody else is fit. In terms of playing away, I'll be honest, with this current group, it doesn't really bother us. I don't think there's much difference in our home to away form. It certainly hasn't been Fortress Plantation Park this year anyway, and at times we've found the pitch difficult to play on. So going away from home doesn't bother us at all, adversely certainly. So we wouldn't approach that any differently to a home game in terms of our preparation. Obviously, there's more arrangements in terms of the travel and sort of the minibus and that, but no, that doesn't really affect us. And actually, the schedule, although we've got the Senior Cup game and possibly a Mulbarton rearranged fixture that may drop in, which I think we'll find out this Sunday. The schedule for December is actually quite kind. I know certainly the level up, they tend to play a lot more games than what we do in December. So it's almost a normal schedule. So I certainly can't moan about that. And away games, you've got to play everyone twice. So for me, it doesn't really make much difference the order of that. We're certainly playing some good sides. That has to be said. Woodbridge on Saturday will be a big test for us. They got a really good point at Milton Hall last week, and sit just below us in the league. So we're under no illusions that Saturday's going to be a really tough game for us. And of course, we've got that then goes into the month of December, where we know we're playing at Trafford Park and Emerald Park. So you're playing the top two away from home. So it'll be a tough run of games, but we need to start picking up some points. And I think the level of our performance, as I said, has not been bad. But I think we've still got one or two gears that we can go through that will help us secure some points on the road.
So final question is, what are the club's principal targets for the second half of the season?
Well, first and foremost, I think we need to make sure that we keep everyone fit and well, and at the moment, touch wood, we're doing that. I think a lot depends on us at the moment on getting our best side out regularly, and for the last month we probably haven't been able to do that enough, through nobody's fault, and we want to finish as high as we can, and ultimately that's down to us, and then a little bit what other people do. We can't control that, and where we are at the moment, we have to just take responsibility for what we do, and start putting some wins on the board again. And if we do that, I think we'll climb the table, and then we'll see what happens. Local football players can move on quickly because some aren't contracted, and those that are contracted, if good sides come in, they can move for nominal fees. So you never know. Teams above can lose one or two players, and suddenly they're not winning games every week, and that can happen. So we have to take care of our business and see what others do. And then if we could progress in the Senior Cup, we'd love that. I'd love to win another Senior Cup at Norwich United. But again, that's going to be difficult, and we're going to have to be our best to do that. So we know that there'll be some more testing times for us, and at the moment we're in one of those times, and we've got to stay together and be mentally tough, and that's the messaging we keep getting across to the players. And eventually we'll ride out this little patch that we're going through at the moment, and I think we'll start to climb the table. The other thing, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, with Tobes and his role is, we'll be looking to strengthen every opportunity we can. As we've gone into the season from pre-season, we are one or two light than what we had in pre-season. So when we can, we'll be looking to strengthen and see if there's one or two that can come in and give the group a hand.
Great stuff. Well, all the best for Saturday, Steve, and thanks for talking to me today.
Cheers, Joe.